Morning punters, wagering angles video for January 27 ahead of a good card at Moonee Valley today. Just a quick look back at Flemington. It all sort of went according to script, so we won't dwell on it too much, but race 4 was a very interesting betting race with Steffi Magnetica pushed into a dominant market position early by Sportsbet. As I suspected, she was replaced as favourite by Osmar later in the betting. In the end though, Osmar was pretty plain and Steffi Magnetica's run was excellent. But Power Ballad, who as I thought just sort of held his place in the market, he posted a really good win at nice odds. Race 5, again, Kin pushed into a dominant market position and just kept getting shorter, really. Both Sands Doot and A Little Deep were reasonably easy, and you know they beat Kin comfortably in the end. Race 7, the pattern had an impact here with the tailwind sort of providing Jungle Jim with a good opportunity, but as I thought, he did hold his place in the market and he posted a dominant win in the end over the other two equal favourites in Ray Magnerio and Dehorned Unicorn. Race 9, as I thought, Belhair, all roads led to him from a market point of view, and he ran a dominant favourite. He wasn't quite able to elevate to a new level, which left him vulnerable to some of the more seasoned gallopers, and So Risque and Who's Our Bonneville got past him and Helix late. That can always happen with these lightly raced horses as they're going up in grade. They do need to elevate to compete with these more seasoned horses that are feeling good on the day. And race 10 had some interest with Johnny Rocker being first up for Nick Ryan. He was fairly easy and he did peak on his run, so he's probably got wins in him this prep, I would think. He was beaten by a pretty good performance by Mornington Glory, who backs up at Moonee Valley today. Okay, so at Moonee Valley Day, let's start in race 1. Acid Wash and Sox Nation don't have dissimilar profiles. They both posted big maiden wins where they were able to control the tempo and race away. However, Sox Nation's had a subsequent run against older horses and it is more seasoned here. So I think that will lead, at the moment, Acid Wash has been popularly tipped and is short in early markets. It's $2, Sox Nation is $3.50. I think there'll be enough in Sox Nation's fitness edge for some of the models to gravitate to it, and I think the gap between them will close a little bit. However, Acid Wash has been extremely popular in early markets, so he could maintain that position of dominance. So it'll be interesting to see how that unfolds. Over to race 3, this is a fillies and mares race. Very Surreal is the only filly, and a lot of the mares coming via the Flemington race. That was a bunched finish. So, I mean, Very Surreal's coming out of a good 3-year-old race where she worked hard on speed, and it's a really good profile for coming back against these mares grade at Moonee Valley. So I think she's going to be very popular and likely to run a very strong favourite. I can see why Fire Vetna is, a market, the alternative, because she ran the dominant favourite in that mare's race at Flemington. So she's yet to put it all together. So she's sort of pushes and pulls with her, but there are signals around that she's the alternative here that will attract some support. Race 4, most of the attention here is around Running By and Toronto Terrier. Running By has been very popular in earlier markets. I'm thinking some people are making some assumptions here with her. This is a stronger race than she's been contesting. She does need to elevate. It's similar to what we just talked about with Bel Air last week, whereas Toronto Terrier is more seasoned, coming through better class races. There is some doubt about him at 1600. That's my personal view is that he's okay. He ran in the 100-metre race at Moonee Valley last prep, where he was jumping from 1200 to 1600 and fought out the finish with Bel Air, and he's a more seasoned horse this prep. I don't have any doubts about him at 1600 necessarily, and he's coming off a much stronger lead-up race than running by. So I'm thinking the gap between them will close. It's currently 225 and 440. But we'll see how that unfolds, and there will be some specking around for some of the fringe dwellers in that race. Horses like Piaggio, Typhoon Harmony, Turbo maybe, even B Hunter's not out of the question. I'll just quickly touch on race 5. I think there's good reasons for Tango Jewel to be targeted by some in the market here. She worked hard up the hill on the back straight at Sandown, and that was against males. This is dropping back to mare's grade. She did a good job to only be tackled late by Lang Park. She gets Craig Williams on, and he can either push her to the front or take an outside lead position. So there's lots of positive pushes for her, and I think she'll be supported here. Extra 2 is really tricky because she's got a lot of talent, but she's first up and doesn't look particularly wound up, so it'd be interesting to see how she parades. The only other alternative here really is Lazy Susan. She's after the claim, she gets in quite well and could be ridden aggressively, so she will have supporters. Let's go right over to race 8. 2 camps here. Philosopher currently at 280 and Mornington Glory at 220. So Philosopher's got the Moonee Valley form, is the likely leader, so the pattern will be a factor in this market. I'm assuming it'll be fairly neutral. If anything, the off the rails positions will be a really minor advantage, so that's got me leaning towards Mornington Glory. He's backing up off a peak run. However, he's got a bank of ratings that are all slightly above what Philosopher's produced at this stage. So I can't see how Philosopher will need a significant leader pattern to replace him as favourite, I would think. But it will be an interesting betting race. The other factor there is Shershov, who is a similar type horse to Philosopher. And although Carleen Heffel tends to be quite a neutral type rider, I think Shershov certainly has the attributes to apply pressure to Philosopher in the mid-race, so that could help Mornington Glory somewhat. And finishing off in race 10, there are some fringe dwellers here that will be specced. Bellinger's won. He ran really fast sectionals at Geelong. He's an interesting runner. He could do something. Dennis and Darcy goes well at Moonee Valley, so there'll be some interested in him. Squad's the likely leader, or one of the leaders. He could attract a little bit of support. Zoo Nation had the good course and distance win 2 runs ago. There'll be punters interested in him. Even Shovover could attract a little bit of support, and Marigan is not out of the question. So we'll be specking around for a lot of those runners. So I think Perea will remain a backable price, but in the end, I think he will be heavily supported and will run a strong favourite. So that's the way I'm seeing it anyway. Just touching on some of the things that caught my eye watching videos this week. It was good to see last week's, one of the runners I highlighted last week, Kiss Me Ned. It went to Seymour, or was it Benalla on Sunday. Opened up $3.90, working from memory here. I think it was $2.70 race morning, eventually ran $1.50 and won. So we'll see if we can find a few more interesting runners to keep an eye on. So what I'm going to talk about this week is Aaron Lynch. He's a heavyweight jockey You know, 58's the minimum that Aaron rides at. He's very good at getting, you know, horses that aren't trying and horses that are a bit lazy to do their best. And as a result, he rides a lot of long-priced runners. And for a jockey that does ride a lot of long-priced runners and has trouble keeping on horses as they progress through the grades, because once they get to town and things like that and they're weighted below 58, he can't stay with them. He rides a lot of winners for a jockey in the market range he rides at, like a lot of runners in the $10 plus, and even, you know, very big odds runners. Like I think he's ridden 8 or 9 winners in his last 50 rides, and a lot of them at big odds. So one of those at big odds that's worth having a look at, even though the horses have no interest at all, was January 20 at Camperdown. It was a 2,000 metre race. A 4 kilo apprentice pushed to the front. The other jockeys at the front of the field let that happen without taking any mitigation. I'm particularly talking about Linda Meach on Master Businessman. Aaron was out the back on Devellium, who's just, you know, he's a bit of a plotter. And as soon as they wanted to just back off mid-race, he was having none of it. And he rode that horse hard for the last half of the race. I mean, he should have got double or triple his percentage for his ride on this horse. And he eventually got it home. As I said, the main victim of his great ride was Linda on Master Businessman, but she kind of earned the bad luck she got. Now, Master Businessman has been a disappointing horse, but he's got more ability than he's shown, and if he's going to win another race, it could be at his next run if he's well enough placed. But you know, we're talking about Aaron Lynch here, and what happens when he's on a better horse? You know, he doesn't get many rides on progressive horses, but he did on January 14 at Sale. Hey Fat Cat was resuming with blinkers on there. He is a horse that's shown good potential in his jump outs, but hadn't put it all together at the racetrack yet. And as a result, he did go around $11, but in hindsight, he had a significant talent edge on that field. And, you know, this is what happens with a good rider when they get on the right type of horse. Like Aaron looked really stylish on a horse like Hey Fat Cat, and he just went with the horse the whole way. He just rode him really efficiently. In the end, Fat Cat posted a 7-length win in very fast time. So he's a horse that can go through the grades, and with any luck, Aaron will get a chance to stay on him. Anyway, punters, that'll do us for this week, and looking forward to a good card at Moonee Valley today.